No. There's so many bloody fingers here.
Let us know if we're working. There we go.
Are we live?
We are live.
We are live.
Hi, everybody. We started live like 10 minutes early just to let people come in.
Hey, guys.
Look who I'm with.
Hi.
Ballet Big Sis. Or Ballet Sister. What are we?
Ballet Big Sis.
Ballet Big Sis.
We're Ballet Big Sis.
I think I'm older than you, but that's okay.
I don't think so.
Really?
What year were you born?
88?
87. I'm older than you.
Okay.
I'm officially like on the old side of YouTube now.
That's okay.
I'm going to give myself 4 more years and then I'm going to go into fitness over 40.
Okay. Fitness over 40.
I'm going to rebrand as like fitness over 40
Brilliant.
and it's going to be only Britney Spears music.
Yes. Oh, you missed some of that earlier.
Oh, yeah.
We were doing it.
That's the kind of show you get if you're here in person.
Right.
That's extra.
We are here with our beautiful retreat attendees. Only
Our
some of
adult
them, not
dancers.
all of them are here, but we have a lovely, lovely group. Nice, I like a small group.
Me too. So today was the dance medica portion of the day, which is when we did all of the assessments, the conditioning for Pointe work, the Pilates for Pointe, Pointe shoe fitting. This is our collab that we do before Katie does her full-on retreat.
Yeah, and we just did the first week.
Yeah.
Also, while we're talking and setting up, let us know if you can hear us well.
Yes, tell us because on
I
our
got new
channel
fancy
last week-
mics and I want to make sure they're working.
Yeah.
But we just did our first week. I think it was amazing.
It was amazing.
Everybody had an incredible time. We had an incredible time.
Yes, truly.
There's also somebody I want to say hi. Hold, please.
This is in Southern California, in case you guys are wondering. No one asked, but here's the information.
Hey,
This
Sean.
is Southern California, but
Whenever
we
you're
have
ready,
people
I'd love
from
for you to
all
say hi.
over the world. This is like Hong Kong, well, London. We have Australia. We have, where else? That's it. Well, Milwaukee, which is like totally a different.
We had Pakistan last week.
Ooh,
Sean
Pakistan.
wanted to say hi, or I wanted Sean to say hi.
Hi. This
Sean. It's live.
Yes.
On YouTube.
Well, maybe you should go closer so they can
I think
see
everyone knows
what
what I look like at this point, right?
Yeah, get in on
I've been
this.
working, it's a little trashy.
It's a little
got your-
I look a
trashy.
little homeless.
Urban Outfitters.
If you were homeless, people would give you a lot of money. I don't know.
I'm a starving artist, so if you want to give me money,
Yeah.
support the arts and the
Support
artists.
the arts. Should we? What's your Venmo?
What's your Venmo, Sean?
Someone has found my Venmo once and like shot me money.
What?
Is that weird?
That you didn't know?
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
very weird.
That
I
is
mean-
very weird.
whatever. It was $5. But I was like, this is the odd. I was like, do I like, what do I was like, I don't want to engage. I don't like.
Sounds okay, Jazz? We're good.
Everyone can hear us?
Everybody can hear us. I should
Wait,
do
these
this.
questions.
Well, you guys submitted these questions for us, so we're going to be answering questions from the audience as well as the questions that you have submitted to us earlier, and then
Yes.
you have Katie appropriate questions and Joe appropriate questions. So
And also you can type questions in on
yes,
the chat.
if you guys have any questions there, you guys can type it up.
Yeah. Thanks
And
for
they will
saying
read
hi.
it.
Of
You
course.
can stay or
Hi.
not. Up to you.
Oh, can I answer a question?
Oh, you want to answer a question?
Yeah.
Wait, do you want to do a point shoot question or a dancer question?
I'll do either or. Let's see. Let's see.
Ooh.
How both.
Here. You have to talk into my mic-ish.
Okay.
Is that a good one?
Yeah, that's a very hard question though, because like, so it's most challenging ballet role.
Yeah.
What's most challenging? Like, as in the role I was most stressed out about the whole time dancing, or like the most physical challenging role? 'Cause,
Both.
Like, those are two different
Oh
things.
yeah, that is
both.
true.
Right?
Both. Yeah, that's a good one.
I love her. So scary. My most physical challenging will probably be the second pas de couple from the full After the Rain. The one that like when Christopher
Wheelton?
Wheelton, he choreographed it. He did like the first section, which is my couple was the extremely fast one.
Yeah.
Once my couple entered, you stayed on for the rest of 11 minutes.
Uh-huh.
That was the most physically challenging. Because you just like lay down. But Jonathan for Dracula was pretty bad too. That was hard.
You got like hit in the head for that.
I did. I have a scar. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah. During fighting with a vampire. One of the smallest female vampires gave me my scar. But so I think physically the hardest one would be after the rain, and then challenging. I'm gonna say just Nutcracker Prince because I learned it in 4 days.
Yeah.
Oh,
I got
just
thrown in last
recently.
minute.
Yeah.
A couple years ago, my first time doing it.
Ooh.
So that would probably. I was like, it was like do or die. Like 4 days. Here's opening weekend. Here we go. Hope for the best. Like I'm a replacement. So I would say that. I think those two are probably the most challenging. Though Jonathan might have been most challenging because that was the most. Like you had to tell the story. Like I couldn't drop out at any point in time.
Yeah.
I had to be in the story from start to finish.
Mental game.
Yeah, and like be really visually, because it was a very emotionally driven ballet, like acting wise. Like that was what it was like. Every step we did was just because of what emotion we were doing.
Yeah.
You know, it's probably like similar to Juliet.
It's very,
Yeah.
It's
You
like every
can't-
step you're taking.
you can't get out of the story at any point. And I remember hating the shows I was out of the story.
Yeah.
Like I
'cause
was focused on who was where.
Yeah.
It just it makes it work like hard, like worse.
Yeah.
So I think those three probably.
That's a good answer.
Good answers.
That'll be my first question. So maybe we should start. So we
Yeah,
have-
let's do it.
Oh,
So-
sorry.
That's okay.
I jumped the gun. Sorry.
My most challenging ballet role, without a doubt, is Aurora. Sleeping Beauty. Nothing beats it. I've never
Shoe-breaker.
been more tired in my life.
Well, that was also when you were younger too, right?
Yeah. I was 20 when I did Act 3, and then I was 21 when I did the whole thing. And it's doing the whole thing is brutal, but then at City Ballet, we didn't have an intermission until after Vision. So you went Act 1 straight into Act 2, it was...
It was like your shoe destroyed.
I remember being in the dressing room just like, at intermission, just like,
Did you even have time to change your shoes at that point?
no.
So your Rose Adagio shoes that you turned to mush are now your Vision shoes?
You
And
didn't get a
yikes.
chance to switch, no.
That's crazy.
Oh, boy.
So you're just like, your shoes are dying underneath you while you're dancing.
Yep. And if you over warm up, which I did for my second show, I got out there in the first 5 minutes, my legs were like, we're done. We're done.
No.
Stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my
Rough.
most challenging. All right, your turn.
Okay. Should jet glue be used?
Go back to
All
work.
right.
I gotta go back to work.
Bye, Sean. Thanks for visiting.
You know who Sean looks like?
Who's Sean look like?
The Fast and the Furious guy?
Paul Walker.
Paul Walker.
Paul Walker. Yes.
I really disagree.
No. Paul Walker. when he
Yeah,
just,
I
like,
can see it.
It says my hair's not done.
No, still Paul Walker. When he
That
just
is so
smiled,
true.
right? When he just smiled right now, he's like, I'm gonna leave. I was like, oh my God, Paul Walker.
Bye, Sean. All right.
Okay. Should jet glue be used always to prolong the life of shoes? And are there other ways to prolong pointe shoes' life? Yes. So jet glue is just one of the hardening methods. You can use shellac, you can use hot stuff, you can use basically any type of hardening glue. And there are other ways that you can make your shoes last longer too. Because if you're in a traditional paste shoe, your shoes just get wet and that's how they break down. So rotating shoes is number one. If you sweat in your pointe shoes, it takes 36 hours to dry. So you want to have 2 or 3 pairs if you dance every single day on pointe, and you want to rotate those pairs so that they last a little bit longer. So your pointe shoes have to rest just like you, and you want to make sure that it's dried completely. You're carrying it in a mesh bag, not inside your dance bag like I know all of you guys do. Your toe pads don't go inside your pointe shoes because it will stay wet and it'll break down faster. So you want to let it dry. If you get those like nail salon dryers, like the little fans that the nail salon has, you can put your pointe shoes in front of it, point it away from your family, and then let it dry completely.
Yeah.
And that also helps a lot. It makes a huge difference.
Nice.
What?
Point it towards your enemy.
Yes, point it towards your enemy.
No, my poor husband, he walks into our office because you have to let your shoes dry.
Yeah.
And it's like, ooh, okay.
I don't smell feet anymore.
I bet you don't.
I don't.
Okay, how would you train, how much would you train in a day? So there's two ways to read this question. How much would I train like when I was at City Ballet, and how much would I give advice to train every day? So I don't know. So at City Ballet, we would do hour-and-a-half technique class, up to 6 hours of rehearsal, and then the show.
Yes.
And the hardest part was being your best dancing at 8 p.m. That was the hardest part. And then on our off day, I remember I did Pilates or some sort of cross training on the off day, usually, during performance period, and then during rehearsal period, we had 2 days off. So you would either dance for 5 days during rehearsal period or 6 days during performance period. How much would I advise to train in a day? Honestly, you don't need more than a couple hours a day unless you're in a ballet company, and then that's built in.
Yeah.
So the class, the rehearsals, oftentimes they will have a cross-training thing in the building. That's built in, but if you aren't in a company, if you aren't, even if you're a student who wants to get in a company, or if you're an adult student who wants to just get in the best ballet shape possible, no more than 3 hours a day.
What would you train for like your kids? Like your pre-professional, like your 13, 14, 15?
3 to 4 hours a day. That's all you need. And at summer intensives, I say 4 to 5 hours a day. At a certain point, you're going to run yourself into the ground.
Yeah. The point of diminishing returns.
Right. Like these whole, like, I need 4 technique classes in one day. No, you don't. If you focus and you're mentally there and you're physically aware, you don't need 4 technique classes. You need your technique class, a point class, and then another class, and that's plenty. It's better to work smarter and be there than just like plow through
So true.
8 million classes.
So true. And that's how you get injuries too.
Yeah.
So that's a big one. What do I do if my feet are different sizes? By the same size for both? This is a great question. If you're getting fitted for your first pair, I rarely ever put dancers in 2 different sizes. But pointe shoes are made on a straight last, which means that there are no left or right. So if there's a big enough discrepancy between your left and your right, which is like half a size or bigger, then I would put you in 2 different pointe shoes, or 2 different sizes, 2 different widths or 2 different lengths, sometimes 2 different models as well. And then we can always just swap them out. So you're basically buying a pair for your left foot and a pair for your right foot. So it's not, you're not throwing away anything, you're just buying 2 pairs at a time. So that's the easiest way, but I usually don't do that for dancers who are very young, who are rapidly growing, or I wouldn't do that for your first pair because I might put you in a different shoe for your second pair because your feet change a lot when you're training. So I usually don't do that unless it's like dangerously different. If you're more than a full size different, then I might do that for your first pair.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's, you know, there's a solution for pointe shoes. 2 different sizes.
What's your favorite YouTube video on your own channel?
Oh,
I want you to
one.
answer this too. I have 2 of them. One is my Anastasia music video
Oh, I love that one.
that I did. I had a lot of help with that. I collaborated with an incredible pianist on that one. He wrote the arrangement for me. I saw it in my head and we executed it. And I literally set up the camera in like 6 different spots and just danced and hoped the choreography worked.
Yeah.
And then my other one that I'm probably most proud of is my one-woman snow scene. Where I did everybody's part. Have you seen this one?
Oh my gosh, no.
And I masked it so I would like go in front of myself and behind myself.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny.
YouTube one woman snow scene, and it took me a month and a half to edit. Wow. Frame by frame.
I would quit YouTube.
Outline.
That's crazy.
Outline. It took forever.
This is
I
how
was
you
very
know
proud of
she's
it.
an artist. Like, this is how you know she's an artist, because like she will do this until like it's perfect. Like that's.
And I also had in the studio be like, okay, I'm this girl. I go in the front, and then I go behind,
Oh my gosh.
and then I go this way, and then it was like a whole process. And I actually filmed the whole snow scene, but I only edited half because I was like done by that point. I was like, I can't do anymore. But I even filmed like Clara walking on with like one shoe And like, but I never put it in because I was so tired of editing
That
it.
is so insane.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, that is so crazy.
What about you? What's your favorite video on your channel?
You know, I honestly don't know, because I feel like I'm even though I grew up dancing, I don't think I'm like, my personality as an artist. Because like I feel like artists are perfectionists and they see a vision and then they execute it. I feel like, oh my gosh, this is gonna make me sound so bad, but I feel like I'm more of like, what can I produce as fast as possible?
That's good though. But you could do good. I like your reaction stuff.
Thank you. I don't know if that's my favorite, you guys. My TikTok reaction videos, like honestly, some things that I have to like react to, it like hurts me. I like don't go back to watch them. I think in general as a series, for me, not for you guys, but for me, I like the point shoe hacks the best.
Yeah.
Because it's interesting for me to hear about them. And honestly, they don't do as well as the reaction videos. So like we do more reaction videos before that reason. But I personally like the point shoe hacks. Those are really fun. We started that in collaboration with Pointe magazine originally. So we started to interview like professional dancers to like see how they like do their point shoes, how they like break them in and all of that. But I think it's just so cool how different people do different things.
Yeah. I want to do a reaction video with you at some
I will
point.
gladly.
Okay, go on. Sorry.
What are the signs you might lose toenails after being on point? I mean, I want to say my immediate reaction to this question is pain, but some people don't feel it. Some people don't feel it when your toenails, you're about to lose their toenails. So discoloration, I guess, is the first sign of you losing your toenails. Most people will feel extra pressure when they're up on their toes, or if you're standing flat, if their shoes are too tight, you'll feel your toenail dig into your skin. But some people don't feel it, and they just start to get a different, like it'll start to turn yellow or green, it'll turn blue, and then it'll fall off. So like discoloration is probably the first sign if you don't feel pain. If you
I've
feel
only
pain, then
had
it's
a
pain.
toenail fall off one time.
Really?
And it was because it was too long. My second toe, because my second toe is the longest. It was too long, and you know when you just like, you stand on the tip and it just starts to bend, and then it turned black and blue and fell off.
Did it curl in first? Yeah.
Yep.
Was that your bigger foot?
Yeah,
Is that your left one?
right foot.
Right foot, yeah. And then we put the liner on the left one.
On the left one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
rough.
What can dancers do if they're injured? For example, if they can't dance or go to class. It's interesting because I remember when I sprained my ankle when I was at City Ballet, I did all the port de bras, like for ballets in a chair.
Yeah.
I did Pilates with everything I could without putting weight on it. I would do swimming. Like there's things you can do to not feel your injury, because it's also important to keep all your other muscles strong so that when you come back from the injury, it's not square one.
Yeah.
You just have to focus on that injury.
Right.
So for me, I did whatever I could in a chair. I did lots of arms, lots of abs, lots of, you know, stuff like that.
That's smart.
Yeah.
I think staying active somewhat is good. I don't like it when people ask me these questions. Soft point shoe brands. Every company, every brand has a soft shoe relative to their other shoes. Every company has a soft shoe, every company has a hard shoe. In general, I would say that Freeds are a little bit softer in terms of how the glue crumbles. But that doesn't mean that they're like, you can have a hard shoe in Freed as well. You can have a soft shoe in a Nikolai and a hard shoe in a Nikolai. You can have a soft shoe in a Block. You can have a hard shoe in a Block. Every company has a soft shoe. So it's not, you're not looking for your best brand, you're looking for like your best combination. So don't think of your point shoes as like, I am a Nikolai girl, or I am a Block girl, or I'm a Freed girl. What you need to do is, I like my vamp a little bit longer. I like my shoes a little bit tapered. I like my shoes to break lower. I like my shank to be softer. Like, you want to think about characteristics that you like rather than the brands that you like. So we can find you as many of those types of shoes as possible, and you can figure out from there which one is the best of those characteristics.
Tips for finding a ballet studio for someone plus size with mobility issues. I think first and foremost is several things. Finding a healthy environment, a place where you feel safe, because you're not going to dance well if you're not in a safe environment or a place where you feel comfortable regardless of their pedigree or their,
Right.
you know. That's the first thing. I think second thing is also finding a good adult program, which is very difficult.
Yes.
Not every studio has it. Not every studio takes adults seriously, which I cannot stand. I love my adult students.
Yeah.
I think it's a very tricky thing, but you have to find a place that you feel comfortable and you feel supported, and do your research online, talk to people, because at the end of the day, as long as you feel comfortable, that's when you're going to improve.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
yes.
I don't care if the teachers are amazing. If you don't feel comfortable, you're not going to
Definitely.
improve. But then if you do have mobility issues, seeing somebody like an Allie Christensen or like somebody who specifically works with that outside the ballet studio.
Right.
Because ballet is not great for feeling your best mobility. Like, it's
Right.
not. Even pros are like, oh, my back. So you have to work on that outside the studio to then apply it to your ballet training. So
Yeah.
look for gyrotonics. Look for somebody who can help you with that in addition to your ballet training.
Yeah. And I think that's what I love about your program too, is that you meet people where they are.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Because like this is the long haul. Like especially with people who start as an adult, like we're here as a lifestyle forever, hopefully. We hope that you will be here and ballet will be here for you forever.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter, like you just come as you are, and you should go to an environment where you feel accepted. And I love that about your program.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Because ballet, I feel like, is the one thing where very often, 90% of the time, unless you are training to be a professional, you are pushed aside, you're not taken seriously. Where like I remember in school, like we did swimming for PE.
Yeah.
And the swim coaches and the soccer coaches and everybody were like pushing people to do their best and taking them seriously. But those people were going to go be Olympic swimmers.
Right.
They were going to go be on the World Cup team.
Right.
But they still took them seriously. Ballet is, oh, you're not going to be a professional, then never mind. Like,
Exactly. It's so bizarre.
it's so bizarre.
Yeah. And like this is a different type of environment.
Yeah.
This is a different world now. Like we're doing it as a hobby. This is recreational. This is for your soul and for your joy and your inspiration. So this is where, you know, you should be accepted wherever you come from, whatever you are. I love it.
Yeah.
And that's why we love you guys. We love you and you are our inspiration, truly.
Yes.
And if you have any questions, you can always jump in as well. We have these questions from the audience, but always feel free
Yeah,
to
y'all are here,
jump
so.
out and ask us questions.
Jump in, please.
They're busy sewing
They're
because we had a
sewing.
sewing class right before this. Okay, advice for people who live in countries without any point shoe fittings, all of them except for the US. This is really difficult because I get calls from all over the world. If you are not able to find any kind of point shoe fitting, or if your only option is the local store that has 2 brands and 3 sizes, it's better not to get fitted there. And I'm not saying this to deter anybody from going into any of the local shops or anything, but I know that in certain countries it's just very, very limited, so they're going to give you what they have. And that's not their fault, it's just that's what they have.
Yep.
So what I would recommend is, and I'm not even just pushing our service, you can try to find virtual fittings anywhere, but get a virtual fitting and then try to find the shoe that you can from your local country or order it online. We typically do not ship out of the country unless you have a forwarding address in the United States. We will suggest a shoe that you can get in your country. We sometimes will work with the local stores in your country, and you can even go in and then we can take a look at it. We will have them order your shoes in for you. We will try our best to help you find your shoes locally so you can continue to buy them. If you have a shoe that makes sense for you, they will continue to order them. But the fitting is important. And I've seen way too many fittings from other countries, not fittings, but like way too many fits from other dancers from different countries where it's just so simple to fix. It's like you're just a size off, or you're just a width off, or you're just a shank off, and it's such a simple fix. But those are the mistakes that you can make with your feet and your shoes that will add up to bigger injuries later on. So just get a virtual fitting, or talk to somebody that can help you even troubleshoot.
Yeah.
But don't go into a place where they have 2 options and they're going to cram you into whatever they have.
Yeah.
It's rough. I've seen it.
And I think, remember, like, sister sizes. Like you said,
Yes.
It's often like, well, this is fine, but something's off. Maybe you need longer and narrower. Maybe you need shorter and wider,
Exactly.
Sister size.
Honestly, sizing is the most important in pointe shoe fittings. If I had a choice between having one model in every single size and like 3 or 4 brands in like 2 or 3 sizes or 2 or 3 widths, I will choose every single size every single time.
Yeah.
Because I can find a size, if the sizing is perfect, even if the model is not, we can try to make it work. If the sizing is right in the wrong shoe, it still can work. If the sizing is right, or sizing is wrong, but you are in the correct shoe, it won't work for you.
Yeah, size is everything.
Size is everything.
Mm-hmm. Main tips for preventing blisters.
Oh, that's hard.
It's hard. Tape your feet ahead of time.
Yeah.
Don't wait till you have a blister to tape
Yeah.
your feet. Like, I know what 3 toes rub for me, so I tape them early. If I'm going to have a heavy pointe ballet, like a Sleeping Beauty or like we've been rehearsing Midsummer, I'm going to tape ahead of time. Don't wait.
Yeah.
Don't wait till you have a blister.
That's such good advice. If you know there's like a certain toe that you know you're going to get a blister in, like, do just preventative taping.
I do
So
big,
good.
pinky, and fourth.
See, if you know. And then there's certain toes that, like, no matter what shoe you wear, it'll bother you,
It'll
right?
bother you.
Yeah,
Yep.
those are hot spots.
Yep. Hot spots.
Hot spots.
Ew, that's fancy.
I know, we made that up. You can have it.
I like
Hashtag hot spots.
Hashtag hot spots. Okay.
Is there a way to request a fitter for an in-person fitting? Yeah, I think you can request. I think most fitters now are willing to travel. I think most fitters in local stores are traveling now. I think it's been a thing for the past 5-6 years at least, so you can always request an in-person fitting. For the pointe shop specifically, we need a certain number of people depending on where you are. So we need a minimum number of appointments depending on where you, so if I'm going to Montana, for example, we need 40 appointments. If we're going to New York, we need 60. So we need like a certain number for us to go there. And then there's other travel fees and everything included. And there's other event things. So if you guys want to request the pointe shop, you can, but I think most local stores will also have that option as well to bring a fitter in.
What are some of the best exercises to improve releve on one foot on pointe? You have to remember a releve is not just your calf and your foot. It's your hip, it's your core, it's your placement, no matter how strong your legs are. If we're going like this when we releve, it's not going to work. So first of all, check your alignment. I always say move your head first, because if you releve without moving anything, your feet have nowhere to go. Secondly, you have to remember your pointe shoe. I'm going to use this as an example. Here we are in flat. Your pointe shoe is going to push you up and forward. Slightly. Unless you're flat turned out, then it's going to push you sideways. But very few of us are flat. It's going to push you slightly forward. So if you don't go with your shoe, this happens. So you have to actively go with your foot. That's going to change your releve, I guarantee you, regardless. So don't just, go with your shoe, not against your shoe. But then, of course, in terms of strength, I give this to every pointe class and non-pointe class that we do. I have some of my regulars here. We go slow counts up 4 on a straight, that was bad English, let's try that again. 4 counts up on a straight leg, very slowly. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4, and then slowly down 5, 6, 7, 8. You do about 8 of those on each side, you're gonna feel it. And that's gonna give you that. You also need ankle stability on the inside and the outside, so we're not going one way or the other. So even doing stuff like, you know, gym work like this, and like having to, having to work on the stability, do it on a towel, doing it on a yoga mat, also closing your eyes and balancing, it's gonna force that stability. Again, I would be seeing a PT or somebody that can help you also.
Yeah.
But just anything to strengthen and stabilize, but also the alignment.
That's really good. Does Josephine fit gainers virtually? I do. Want to try synthetic shoes for longevity. That's cool. I think there's a lot of different options as well. So Gainer Minden was the first, and they were the first synthetic shoe brand. Now there's some other locations. There's some other brands that also do synthetic shoes as well. So depending on what your foot looks like, what your foot does, then we might offer you other synthetic shoes other than Gainer Minden. But absolutely, if Gainer Mindens are the best ones for you, I'm totally all for it.
This is a deep question. What are some ways we can make ballet a less toxic environment for future dancers?
Oh.
How long do we have? So, I mean, first and foremost, this is something we talked about in a Q&A on Friday with the other week's students. So many ballet companies hire diversity, but they don't cast and use diversity. There is one thing of hiring the dancers, the second thing is actually putting them on the stage. So they can look like, yeah, we're inclusive. Are you though? Who are we seeing do the roles? Who are we seeing, you know, we might see them on the posters. Are we seeing them on stage? I think it's also, whether you're professional or not, it's language. It's just simply phrasing things differently. It is, like we said earlier, taking people as they are. It's not just about like, until you get to this point, you're nothing. I feel like in ballet, until you meet a certain standard, it's like you're not good enough.
Right.
Can we accept where we are now? Can we be good enough now and then strive for more, but not have it be such a degrading thing?
Right.
I think it's also challenging our trained eyes. I think one of the reasons the ballet world is what it is because that's how it's always been. And we don't ever question it.
Right.
You know, well, that's how it is. And so we have to start questioning, we have to start talking about it, we have to start, which we're doing,
Right.
But there's lots of room for improvement. But at least for me, with all of my students, it's the language I use.
Right.
It's a let's try this, let's do this, great job. Like, why do ballet teachers find it so difficult to go, good, now let's try this?
Right.
Instead of, I'm like, how difficult is this, really?
Right.
So it's language, it's, you know, putting your money where your mouth is.
Right. I think it's exactly what you said earlier, is that like it's a lot of times like we are just looking for the people that are going to make it professionally. And because everything else is cast aside, it is like adults included, I think, in many environments, because they're like, you're not going to be professional. It's like, that's not the point.
No.
So I think changing that perspective is also something that you have been doing.
Yeah.
Changing the perspective of like what the actual goals are.
Yeah, and we can't afford to be that exclusive. We can't afford to only pay attention to the people who we think are gonna make it.
Right.
Like I always say, you know, you train a child from the age of, I don't know, 6, 7, 8. If you traumatize that child, even if they're not gonna be a dancer, that's a future donor.
Right.
That's a future audience member.
Yes.
That's a future parent who's going, I'm not putting my kid in ballet. That's how the art form dies.
That is exactly right, because like how many of us grew up dancing and then stopped going to watch the ballet because it was so traumatizing for us to watch it for a little while.
100%,
Right.
self-included.
Exactly.
Yep. So that's all I have to say about that. I mean, I could go on, but I won't.
How important is it to get your first pair of pointe shoes well fitted? extremely important if you want to continue to dance, because I can't tell you how many people quit pointe in their first pair of pointe shoes because it hurts too much, it's too difficult to do, it's just not well fitted. It's and a lot of people mistakenly think that it's them.
Yeah.
So a lot of people think that it hurts too much, I'm not made for this, I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
But really, it's just the wrong shoe. So I think that it's extremely important if you want to continue to your pointe career in any capacity, whether it's recreational or not.
Yeah, that's great. How do you deal with or prevent foot soreness after a long day on pointe? There's nothing like dunking your feet in ice water.
Oh.
It's not fun. The first time I did it, I may or may have held on to Chris and screamed, "I hate you," because he made me do it. But if you use a bag of ice and then fill it up like trash can size with water, dunk your feet in, no more than 10 minutes, otherwise you can get frostbite, life-changing. Literally, I had a friend give herself, she was so used to it, she just gave herself frostbite because she just hung out in the ice water too long. And, rolling them out after you take especially in a pointe shoe, you've been like this for so long, you need to release it. So rolling them out, Epsom salt baths, laying with your feet up to drain them, that's really important. Stuff like that. But ice baths, I'm telling you.
Hard pass.
Yep.
Elastic or satin ribbon for second pair of pointe shoes. Ribbons and elastic, honestly, it is so individual. So number one, it's your choice.
Yeah.
So I give that choice to the dancer. If it's your first couple years on pointe and you don't know where to start, then I take a look at where you are as a dancer, or like where you are in your range of motion and where you are in your pointe shoes. If you're too far forward or too far back, if you're leaning one way or another, if you need more support or less support, I'll suggest you either do cross elastic or satin ribbon, stretch ribbon and one elastic. It just depends on where you are. Even if I believe that sometimes you need more support and you need cross elastic and satin ribbon, you may like stretch ribbon, and that's totally okay. Some people hate the feeling of stretch ribbon and they want to do satin. That's okay too. It's not a huge deal, but in general, more support is too elastic. The more elastic you have on the top of your foot, you're going to have more support on there. And then satin ribbon is going to be a little bit more supportive than stretch ribbon. But satin ribbon is a lot more harsh. So if you want something that is a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more forgiving on your ankles, stretch ribbon is great. So it just depends on what you want and what you want to get out of your ribbons and elastic. It's just very preference driven. So I don't have any hard or fast rules. We actually had a conversation earlier about crisscrossing your elastic, and one of the dancers said, my teacher wants me to only crisscross my elastic. Not her specifically, but like everyone in class. And usually that's, some teachers will have, preferences for certain ribbons and elastics, but after a while you'll have to figure out what you like best and what works for you. So just paying attention to what worked for you, what didn't. Experiment with different types of ribbons and elastic is the best answer I can give you. I can't tell you what to get, really. Okay.
What is your biggest pet peeve watching someone practice on pointe? I wouldn't say it's a pet peeve, but I think for me, the thing I harp on the most is are transitions.
Oh yeah, you talk about that a lot in your judging too.
How do we get into the step? How do we get out of the step? If you got beautiful satin shoe on, stuff like that. It's especially when you're first starting out on pointe, trust the process, do the work, don't climb. I think especially when we're learning pirouettes, it's that climb.
Right.
Like even if you can barely get up, still try and hit the releve so we don't build the bad habit of climbing, because
that's a good point.
Pointe work is all habits.
Yeah.
And they're very hard to break habits. If you've developed them badly. So
that's such a good point.
It's just trusting the process, doing the work, and then transitions.
That's so true.
I'm big on transitions when I'm judging.
Yeah.
Big time. I don't care how you do, how many pirouettes you do. Did you get into it beautifully? Did you get out of it beautifully?
Exactly. What is worse, too narrow or too long in pointe shoes?
Yes.
Both.
I have an answer for that. No,
Do you really?
I was in 4 sizes too narrow when I was at City Ballet.
Why is
Miserable.
I feel like this is a thing. This is a common thing with professional dancers.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of you
the long thin foot.
it just makes it look a little prettier. But
I didn't look prettier. I looked sickled.
yeah, that's what happens if your shoes are too narrow.
But anyway, you go on. Sorry.
No, I think it's both bad because if it's too big or too small in any direction, length or width, then you're going to just have bad habits and it's going to lead to injuries. So
Yeah.
it's just generally not good. And like I said, sizing is everything. Sizing is everything.
I think we have time for one more each.
Yeah, let's do it.
I took a long break from ballet, over a year. How long before I can go on pointe again? From taking a break, I think if you've had the basic technique training in you, if you know, once it's there, it's kind of like riding a bike. Once it's there, you don't really forget. You just have to get it back and be reminded. I would give yourself at least 6 months to a year. I would err on the side of major caution, maybe even on the side of a year. Because again, habits. You don't want to rush into it and build the bad habits later. So just there's no reason to rush. Take your time.
Okay. I'm going to take one question from the audience.
Beautiful.
We got, although weight is a sensitive topic, please talk about how dancers' weight impact the pointe work for adult dancers, especially those who are just starting.
That's a tricky one because I think you can, like I think adults can go on pointe simply because A, they're fully physically developed.
Yeah.
B, they have an adult brain. And I mean this in all sincerity. When you say to a 10-year-old, feel the back of your leg, feel your inner thigh, do you feel how they can't always translate? An adult can.
Yes.
So they have an easier time, I think,
Yeah.
with pointe oftentimes than a child does.
Yes.
In terms of the weight, it does make a difference, but I've seen people not struggle. Like, it's been
No.
okay. I think if you have the proper technique, you're doing the right thing, you're taking your time, you're doing it, it's actually not as big of a factor as people
Right.
think. Yeah.
And I think people, like, if that was true, men wouldn't be going on pointe.
Exactly.
Men are like 250 pounds on pointe perfectly fine.
And
It
look
is-
stunning.
And look stunning, which is really annoying.
Really annoying. Yeah.
But it's weight has nothing. It's the ratio of weight with strength.
Yes.
It's difficult, and it's so difficult and so dangerous regardless of who you are.
Yeah.
You could be 90 pounds and like still twist your ankle and like, you know, if you may not be ready. But if you're strong enough and if you have the strength and the skill set to be able to do it, it doesn't matter.
And it's body awareness, which is why I think some
Exactly.
of my littles struggle because they don't have, and they're like teeny little pint-sized things.
Yes,
They
they
just
don't know.
don't have the awareness yet.
Right.
That an adult would.
Oh, like fitting an adult dancer for the first time, it was such a joy because when I asked them specific questions, they had an answer to it. Like, where do you feel the pain? Where do you feel like you're sinking? Where exactly do you feel uncomfortable? All of these things are so much easier to have this conversation with an adult than a child because when you're a kid, you just don't know.
Yeah, they're not supposed to know.
Right. So that has a big part to if you're ready to go on pointe or not.
Cool.
Awesome.
Well, thanks for joining us, you guys.
Thank you so much, you guys.
Have a great day, and this will be up later for you guys to watch again. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Yay! I love you. Bye.